All right, welcome back. So as we approach the heart of holiday travel season, a new NBC News exclusive with shocking statistics from the nation's airports. The TSA says it confiscated a record 6,300 guns at checkpoints so far. That number expected to reach 6,600 by the end of the year. That would be a 10% increase from last year. And another frightening note, most of those guns were in fact loaded. And the prospect of flying with loaded guns on board is not the only thing that passengers should have concerns about. Airlines are currently lobbying the FAA to consider having only one pilot on some flights. Federal regulations currently require 2 pilots in the cockpit at all times. Airlines arguing the move will help solve the staffing problem caused by a pilot shortage, and that technological advancement has made single pilot flights.
The other part of it is like, oh yeah, let's fucking make the pilot training and the pilot restrictions lower. One, so you can pay them less ultimately, right? But also two, so you can like overstaff and not overstaff, but basically drive wages down, because now it's not as now it's not as elite of a job, right? No. I say no. I don't think we should do that. Okay? I don't think we should be saturating the labor market, as you correctly pointed out, with additional pilots that haven't gotten, the same level of fucking training. If you make it 1 pilot per flight, you effectively double the number of pilots and flights you can have. This should lead to more production and less overworked pilots, since there's more people to do the workload. That's not how that works. That is never how this has worked. That is bananas, bro. Why? Are you Mr. Southwest Airlines? Is your dad Delta? Is your dad John Delta? What the fuck are you saying? How will you literally avoid dying in the definitely foreseeable future when there is a commercial airline, there's a commercial airline issue and a plane just fucking falls? That is not how this works, and that is not how this has ever worked. No, there has never been an instance where eliminating redundancies and maximizing output has been beneficial for the workers. It's always beneficial for the shareholders. What the fuck? You don't have more pilots in that situation. You have more overworked pilots because they're doing the job of 2.
Safe. But to cite just one example, last month, the captain of an American Eagle flight from Chicago to Columbus became incapacitated after takeoff. The co-pilot had to take over. Take a listen.
Can I help you?
6, we need to return. Captain is incapacitated.
Did you have any information I need to pass along to the tower in terms of paramedics, gate number, any of that?
No gate number, and he's knocked out. We're going to need paramedics working on everything right now.
Okay, thank you.
We talk about this all the time. I'm a GA pilot, and even in the kind of planes that I fly, 2 pilots is a lot easier and safer because you have 2 pilots running through checklists and procedures. I mean, I've flown a plane with another pilot, okay? I've been the co-pilot to a very famous pilot. His name is Austin Show, Mr. Show. So I have a little bit of skin in the game, okay? I know what it's like. I've touched those fucking dials, okay? That's just difficult. Having 2 people there is, again, infinitely safer than having 1 person there. This is why we always say at the HasanAbi fucking broadcast, all matter of regulation is written in blood, okay? The ink that you write the regulation and legislation is written with blood. What does that mean? That means motherfuckers died, so then they were like, okay, I guess we need to have 2 pilots. Oopsie. I've never heard you say that. Well, I have said it before. I've been watching for years. This is the first time I've heard that one. I've been talking about this a lot more recently with the Elon Musk rules that he is like basically being forced to rewrite. Planes are machines. Machines break. It isn't the standard day on a clear blue sky. It's when things are busy. Something goes wrong in the plane, weather gets bad. You want 2 pilots. 100%. There's literally a clip of you saying that last week. Yeah, I know.
Sadly, that flight's captain died later on at the hospital. Sarah Nelson is the international president of the Association of Flight Attendants and is joining me now. I got to say, when I heard this idea of what airlines are lobbying for, right, to help with the staffing issues and all the delays that we've been feeling and while traveling, I was astounded, really. Tell me why you oppose this idea.
Yasmin, the regulations that we
Sarah Nelson's the GOAT.
have in place in aviation are there because they're
Just, minor flex, but like friend of the show. We did appear on the YDSA Hot Labor Summer broadcast together. Not a big deal. Kind of a big deal. A badass. But anyway, let's continue.
they've typically been written in blood. And we need two pilots on board the plane for the situation that you just talked about. We also need two pilots there to be able to work with each other. If you talk to Captain Sullenberger about his experience of making a decision that no computer would have helped him make in landing on the Hudson, that would have been a catastrophic amount of casualties rather than the success story that we know it to be. There are numerous stories where you have to have the human beings in the cockpit. And to put this very bluntly, when passengers hear a strange noise on the plane, they turn to flight attendants to see what our reaction is, to see what our leadership is in the cabin, and to make sure that things are safe. And I want to make it very clear. Flight attendants will not fly with one pilot in the flight deck. It's that simple. This is not a safe situation. And the bottom line often drives people to reason out, come to conclusions that are not safe. But we put safety first, and we are not going to allow this to happen.
I got to tell you, that's exactly right. When I'm sitting on a plane and there is turbulence or anything that concerns me, the first thing I do is look at a flight attendant. If they seem at ease, they're still serving the drinks, they're still making their way around the cabin, then I settle. But if they seem a little stressed out, I get a little stressed out as well. Tell me specifically if you can provide any anecdotes about times of which a co-pilot has had to step in.
Well, yes. I know of specific instances where, much like the issue that you talked about in this opening, where one of the pilots has become incapacitated, a heart attack. We have had a situation where flight attendants saved the life of the captain, but he had to be taken out of the flight deck. Wow. Another flight attendant who had some pilot lessons actually strapped in and assisted with landing that plane. We have situations where we've had very sad situations where one pilot has left the flight deck and another pilot has decided for whatever reason has not been in a good mental state, and we had lives lost. And we have situations where they are just trying to figure out what's going on, going through checklists. There are two human beings that are needed in that flight deck at all times. For those instances where something goes wrong, we had a situation on Flight 232 back in 1989 where a plane was only landed safely in a cornfield because an off-duty pilot, a third pilot, came to the flight deck and helped when all hydraulics were lost. And through their own human strength and their sheer will.
That's insane, by the way. For the record. The amount of sheer strength that you need to apply is something that I also learned, for the record, by the way. Just want to point that out. In my experiences as a pilot myself, when I got my wings, there was, of course, a moment when, there was hydraulics failure, which, again, has a fuckload of redundancy built into it. Why do I know that? Because my brother... wait, what the fuck? All right. Are you joking? Are you literally a pilot? That's super cool. Yes, I am a pilot. Don't show anybody my flights. Oh, no, what is this?
I wonder what this does. Hasan! Oh! Jesus Christ! Oh, shit! Oh!
Why are we showing this? Why are we showing this? Why? Do you have to do that? Do you have to show this? It's kind of fucked up for all the new viewers to see some of my worst moments as a pilot and not some of my best, like when I landed that plane safely.
What the fuck? On side. Put it back up.
Bank angle.
Ah! Ah! Okay. Hey, can you cover Sim? Cover.
Wind shear.
Ah!
Wind shear.
Ah! Oh God! Oh! Oh! Hasan! Oh! Oh! Hasan! I wonder what this does. Hasan!
The new viewers need to know this is a smoking flight. Yes. Okay, listen. First of all, yeah, Marsh was also on that plane, whose life I jeopardized. He was holding the camera. Your ability to remain calm in the face of insane pressure is impressive. Thank you. Thank you. As a matter of fact, that is what happens in a lot of instances. Like, I'm very cool, calm, and collected, as you can see. Anyway, my point is, okay, listen, I know hydraulics failure also has built-in redundancies, I guess, built-in fail-safes, right? For example, it's not just one hydraulics failure. You have to have 3 of them, okay? Which I didn't even realize you could actually fucking land a plane despite having all 3 fail. They're not redundancies, they're contingencies, exactly. It's not 1, it's 3. Because the moment that those hydraulics, all 3 of them fucking fail, which is like unimaginable, you are literally manually steering the plane, which is, you know, going 400 miles an hour in the fucking sky by pulling it, okay? By like pulling it with brute strength. It's like power steering, which is insane. It's like driving a 10,000 pound Hummer with no power steering. Exactly. Which is, I didn't even think that you could do it. At least Murat tells me that it's impossible to do. But I guess it's not impossible to do because the pilot that was training us told me that that is something that they're trained on. That, because we tried it as well with like one hydraulics failure. You have a lot of redundancy on planes. The word is correct. Contingency, I think, would be a better way to describe it. The Blue Falconer. If we lost all 3 hydraulics on our helicopters, we were just cooked. No shot of recovery. This motherfucker's name is Blue Falconer, bro. I've brought this up before. He's a buddy fucker. Probably in the Air Force. Certified NEF mod. The military term for people who fuck over their, you know, people who fuck over their buddies in the military. Like snitch on them or fuck them over, right? I have pulled his user card up before. And military police. Yeah. Anyway.
power, they were able to land that plane and save more than half of the people on board. So it is absolutely
Full hydraulics failure and 0 casualties on a prop plane. Oh, this is the plane that she was talking about. I wonder how the fuck they did this, by the way. That is kind of wild that they were able to do this. Because like I said, it's like, as Chatters also pointed out, and I have actually like tried to fly a plane without hydraulics on that same setup that we had, and it is virtually impossible.
absolutely unsafe to think.
But I guess the only way to do it is because it's like a smaller plane, you know what I mean? But I don't think you can do a 747. Murat claims you can't do it. Murat claims that it is impossible for someone to power steer a 747, which I don't know, because the trainer, the pilot trainer that we were talking to literally said all pilots actually get trained to be able to land without hydraulics at all. Heavier the plane, the harder it would be. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, well, it could also be one of those granny lifting a car off their grandchild kind of situation as well. You're going to die. You're going to put everything you have into it. I don't know. Maybe they get trained doesn't mean they can do it. No, they get trained as in like you have to, as a part of your training, be able to do that. Murat ain't a pilot? Yeah, but he built the plane. What do you mean? Not talking out of his ass. Like, he literally did build Boeing planes. Chatter explaining, well, you can only fly the 737 and older Boeings with no hydraulics. More modern airplanes like the A320 need at least one system, but there's plenty of redundancies. I wonder if you could power steer. Like, it doesn't seem like you could power steer some of the newer planes, I think. No, it is plenty of redundancies. No, this is one of those things. No, dude. You can't fuck around with planes, man. It's one of those things. I mean, ironic of me to say this about Boeing planes, but like, you know, you kind of have that make sure that everything is extra safe. Because if it's not, then you know what happens.
Think about having only one pilot in the flight deck. We won't stand for it. You shouldn't stand for it either. And I want to be very clear. We're 80% organized in the airline industry. We have strong unions, the pilots and the flight attendants. And the pilots and the flight attendants, through our unions, are a strong voice in the regulatory process. And we are going to stand up for the passengers who are in our care, the rest of the traveling public, and everyone on the ground. And we're not going to allow this to happen.
Hey, Sarah, just quickly here. If this is not the solution, then what is? Because there is a staffing shortage and there is a pilot issue.
Well, the solution is what's happening right now, is contract bargaining that actually makes these good jobs again. It has been 20 years of concessions and austerity in the airline industry since 9/11, and we are in bargaining across the industry right now to lift the standards on these jobs, attract people to these jobs. We no longer have mothers and fathers telling their children, hey, this is a great profession. Go get trained in it. Come work in aviation. And we have to fix that. That's what we're working on right now. We're also working on making sure that these are jobs that are open to everyone, people of color, women, that there are scholarships that people can use to be able to get into these jobs. Those are the solutions that we need, not cutting corners on safety.
Sarah Nelson, we thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, coming up.
I hate this so much. It's just literally a perfect fucking example